The World Cup is over. Long live the World Cup. A look back at one of the best tournaments ever. Note, this story first appeared in The Beautiful Game by CNN Sports, our daily newsletter on all things World Cup. While we're saying goodbye for now, we will be back for the European domestic club season. And just like that, the 2026 World Cup is over. After 308 goals were scored during 104 matches in 16 host cities across 3 countries, it was Spain that lifted the trophy.
Is your pet ignoring the water bowl? The Veckin Pet Fountain keeps water circulating and uses 5-stage filtration to improve taste and reduce impurities. Want to check today's Amazon deal? Scan the QR code now or visit grabdeal.us/5 before it's gone.
And while the final wasn't exactly one for the neutral, it was fitting that the best team in the tournament won in the end. But while La Roja supporters around the world celebrated the country's second title, Spanish editors note, "My headache and I can confirm this occurred in North London." Everyone else was left reflecting on an emotional, record-breaking, superstar-studded edition of the tournament. For years, there were so many concerns around this World Cup. And while those critics were proved right at times, the 2026 edition can still be considered a resounding success. And that's not down to the politicians or governing bodies. It's down to the millions of fans who flocked to North America to party with one another. It's down to the superstars who turned up and performed at the highest level and to the tournament minnows who punched well above their weight. So, in our last World Cup edition of this newsletter, it only feels right to remember some of the most magical moments. Before Spain got its hands on the main trophy, there were also several individual awards handed out at the end of yesterday's final. France's Kylian Mbappé was named the winner of the Golden Boot after scoring 10 goals, becoming the World Cup's all-time top scorer in the process. Spanish defender Pau Cubarsí was named the best young player. Unai Simon was awarded the Golden Glove for best goalkeeper, and midfielder Rodri won the Golden Ball for player of the tournament. But while those official awards have already been decided, we at The Beautiful Game wanted to recognize some of our own winners. Treat this as CNN's World Cup Oscars. You may disagree with some decisions, but that's okay because I'm quite tired. Sorry, Spain fans, but it certainly wasn't the final. Fortunately, though, we were treated to some incredible soccer matches over the past month and change. The first game that springs to my mind is England's heroic effort against Mexico in the Estadio Azteca. Down to 10 men, fighting altitude and fervent home support, the Three Lions somehow clung on against the co-host to reach the quarterfinals. We then had the likes of Cape Verde drawing against Uruguay 2-2, and then the Blue Sharks again pushing defending champion Argentina to extra time in the round of 32. But on balance, I think we're giving this to the Albicelestes' 3-2 comeback against Egypt in the round of 16. Controversy galore, brilliant goals, and a Lionel Messi-shaped miracle comeback. This is usually a hard category to decide, but I actually think it's quite simple this year. The award goes to Cape Verde's Sidney Lopes-Cabral for his wonder goal against the Albiceleste in the knockout stages. There are a few reasons why this was so special. First, the strike itself was superb. He first beat his marker out wide before cutting in and bending his effort into the top corner of the net. The goal was in extra time against Messi's Argentina. All of a sudden, Cape Verde fans started to believe in miracles. Cabral was so excited that he ran into the crowd looking for someone he knew to celebrate with. It was an iconic moment that will be remembered for quite some time. This one has caused some debate within the team. Not to keep banging on about Cape Verde, but not many expected the tiny island nation to play so well, so most of its results look like upsets on paper. Then you have Curaçao, the smallest nation to ever play in the competition, who managed to hold onto a draw against Ecuador in the group stages. But after much deliberation, I'm giving this to Paraguay for beating Germany in the round of 32. Now I know the Germans are struggling a bit with their current crop of players, but they definitely should have beaten Paraguay on paper alone. The South Americans, though, somehow went ahead in the match and relied on a fighting spirit to restrict Germany to only 1 goal in reply. After defending that draw with their life, the Albiroja then beat the European powerhouse on penalties, something that very few have done before. A quick break from the awards show to give you a sense of what the World Cup win meant to Spain. These are the words from goalscorer Ferran Torres, who won the final for his country after scoring the only goal of the game. Torres, 26, said he felt the entire population of Spain behind him as he lashed his extra-time effort into the back of the net, and it couldn't have happened to a more deserving person. Torres, one of Barcelona's key men up front, had been having an awful tournament, missing a plethora of chances throughout the campaign and being benched after starting against Cape Verde. The Barca attacker came through in the clutch, bringing joy to an entire nation that had almost abandoned him. If you still don't understand how much soccer means to fans around the world, then just watch this. Spanish supporters filled the streets of Madrid to celebrate the country's second World Cup title after the team beat Argentina. CNN and Español's Pau Mosquera was in and amongst the bedlam in the capital. Right back to the awards, and sadly, a few contenders for this category. Even before a ball was kicked, there were plenty of headlines. First, Somali referee Omar Abdulkadir Artan was denied entry into the United States, meaning his dream tournament came to an end before it even began. Then, we had the appalling treatment of the Iranian national team, which had to change training bases at the last minute and then fly between its base in Mexico and the US in order to play its games. But the moment that caused the biggest uproar was the red card decision around USA star Folarin Balogun. More notably, the fact that Donald Trump took it upon himself to try to overturn the decision. It was a stark insight into how those with power see the world. In no way should Trump be getting involved in such a thing, and there is even less reason FIFA should have listened. It contributed to a sad ending for the US team, which played so well at times and inspired a new generation to get into the sport of soccer. And finally, which of the players stood out the most? We have a few contenders for this one. Messi, of course, was superb and rolled back the years to produce some mesmerizing performances. We then have Mbappé, who showed once again why he's probably the most effective player at international tournaments. There is just something special about his game at World Cups and European Championships. Then we have to consider the likes of England's Jude Bellingham, who was just immense for the Three Lions, and Cape Verde goalkeeper Vozinha, who became an overnight star. But after plenty of discussion, I'm going to surrender to the internet memes and give this award to Erling Haaland. While Norway's World Cup run is over, some fans are chasing a different dream, becoming an Erling Haaland lookalike. The Norwegian striker did the business on the pitch. Let's get that straight first. He took his team to the quarterfinals, beating five-time champion Brazil on the way and scoring some big goals. But his larger-than-life personality also endeared him to people across the world, many of whom didn't even watch the games. The Haaland memes and video clips were everywhere. Lookalike events popped up all around the world, and people fell in love with the 25-year-old's approach to, well, everything. "I'm quite happy with my life," he said after bowing out of the competition. Well, one last category, because that's what these sorts of award shows do, right? It's basically just an excuse to recognize Lionel Messi for everything he has done for soccer and answer the question that many people have. Is he now retiring from the international game? At 39, he's clearly not able to compete physically against the best in the world during an entire match. But he does still show flashes of brilliance that make you think he can keep playing. The tears at the end of the final, though, suggest where his mind might be at. He has nothing left to prove and has won everything he possibly can. He'll probably take some time to reflect, but yes, there's a chance that's the last time we see Messi in an Argentina jersey. The Argentine is still contracted to play for Inter Miami until 2028, so he'll surely honor that and be back on a soccer pitch again soon. And just a final note from me as we wrap this newsletter up for the World Cup. There has been so much to talk about, break down, and reflect on during this tournament, and I hope you got something out of this daily drop. We hope to be back in the not-so-distant future once the world's biggest domestic leagues get back up and running, but more on that soon. For the time being, we're off to sit on a beach for a couple weeks and reflect on what has been one of the best summers of sport. And the last word goes to CNers from all around the world who tuned in to watch all the action unfold. We hope you enjoyed the tournament as much as we did.